Then put your little hand in mine. There ain't no hill or mountain we can't climb. Babe, I got you, babe. I got you, babe.
Okay, campers, rise and shine, and don't forget your booties, cause it's cold out there today.
It's cold out there every day. What is this, Miami Beach? I don't think so.
Hardly. And you know, you can expect hazardous travel later today with that, that blizzard.
Oh, that blizzard thing. That blizzard thing. Oh, well, here's the report. The National Weather Service is calling for a big blizzard.
Wait.
Yes, they are. But you know, there's
Haven't I done this before?
That's right. Today, we're going to be talking about Groundhog Day. It's a cult classic movie all about time loops. Now, I was going to make a joke about time loops, but I couldn't really think of anything. Now, I was going to make a joke about time loops, but I couldn't quite think of anything. Now, I was going to make a joke about time loops, but I couldn't quite think of anything. Now, I was going to make a joke about time loops, but I couldn't quite think of anything. You see what I did there? It's because I was in a loop. Now, this might be a timeless classic 80s movie, but in Phil's case, this movie was full of time. Thank you very much. Thank you. Autographs will be after the show. Thank you. Now, as you know, today is Groundhog Day. Now, I am filming this beforehand, so I don't know if Phil saw his shadow or not. Now, before we actually hop into the video, if you have not seen Groundhog Day, I would definitely recommend go and watch it first before I start spoiling everything about it. Then come back here and listen to me ramble. Now that we got that out of the way, let us sit down and talk about Groundhog Day. Now, Groundhog Day is a 1984 movie talking about the theory of time loops. And if you're stuck in a time loop, what would you do with all that time that you have? But fret not. We don't need to imagine what it's like living in Groundhog Day. We lived through 2020. But in actuality, it is really fun to think about what you would do. But I'll talk about that a little later. But now we need to discuss one of the reasons that this movie is so good, mainly because of the cast they got. Now, this movie stars none other than Bill Murray. I think Bill Murray was just such a perfect actor to play this movie because he has that fun comedy side and kind of has that kind of improv kind of feel, kind of like a Jim Carrey, but not to that extreme. But then he's got like a serious side to him and can play some really like serious characters. So kind of like maybe like a Tom Hanks kind of feel. But he can just kind of play like right on that line and kind of go back in between and just does it so flawlessly. But this movie is co-written, directed, and co-produced by none other, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Harold Ramis. Rest in peace. Now, if you don't quite remember him, he's Egon in Ghostbusters, but it's so cool to see Bill Murray and Harold Ramis just kind of paired up together again. If you got the two of them paired up together, you already know you got yourself a great movie. I just have to say, I love how Phil is written as a character. We immediately come out the gate and we hate the guy, and we slowly start sympathizing. We're just gonna go with that. We start sympathizing with Phil, feeling his struggle, and God knows how long he's stuck in there. We start feeling that emotion of hate and sadness and just repetitiveness. But as the movie progresses, he begins to grow. And it's a slow grow, and it's a believable grow. Now, they can't shove, maybe however many years he was stuck in that time loop into an hour and a half movie, but they can portray it through the movie. We begin wondering, will Phil ever leave the loop? Will he ever live the perfect day? What will happen to him? But another key thing that the movie writers put in also was that he learns. He learns throughout the days about different things. He starts learning piano. He starts learning about other people. But what I'm trying to get is that he learns things and we watch and see that how he learns it. It's not just handed to him by the writer. He has to work for it, learn it. Kind of like other movie series where the character learns something about himself, but learns it slowly and believably. And we begin to like the character because of that. Not because we're forced to, but because we want to. The main character struggles sometimes, has losses, but learns from their mistakes, and it's not an immediate process. It takes time. But some movies the main character is just handed stuff from the screenwriters, just like, oh yeah, you just learn this. They don't have to work for anything. Why do you need a teacher? You just know everything. You're the teacher. You're the master. And they're not allowed to lose any battles. Every confrontation is either gonna be a draw or you come out on top. There's no struggle. There's nothing. I don't know where all that anger came from. It came from a deep, dark spot in my heart. I'm sorry you had to witness that. I'm going off rambling about stuff for a completely different video. I'm sorry, it won't happen again. I'll move on with the Groundhog's Day. So as I was saying before, I kind of got sidetracked there. Basically in summary, Phil, at the beginning of the movie, we hate him. We learn with him. We start sympathizing. And by the end of the movie, we begin to love him. And you got the girl. Attaboy. Now, a huge question people have for the movie is how long did Phil spend inside of the time cycle? And honestly, we don't really know because they never gave us an exact number in the movie. So all we have is the movie and what it gives us, and to give an educated guess on what we got. But there's a lot of people who actually put in a lot of time trying to figure out how long he's been there, but they've come up with some really good speculations. Now, there's a video I actually watched when trying to research this movie by Mosh, talking about, based on the movie, how long Phil spent inside. And the video in question is Groundhog Day. How long did it last for Bill Murray? So shout out to Mosh. So please feel free to go and check out the video. I'll put a link for it down in the description below. Go show him some love. The first one was the minimum number of days that the movie gave us. So based on like what the movie showed us, if it could be considered like the same day, so like if one is during the day and one's at night, that would be considered one day. It only adds up to about 30 days. And of course that is going to be an impossible number for Phil based on everything he did. But they just wanted to set up the groundwork for like what the movie offers. Secondly, they gave a bigger number of how long he would be in there. So like a different scene, a different day, something like that. They added that together differently, so please go watch Mr. Mosh. He explains it much better than I'm going to. But with that one, he gave 91 days. But those two numbers are based off exactly what the movie gives us. So every scene, that's what's counting for it. But then they gave us a more realistic number. They sat down and calculated out based off how long each thing he does, everything he mentions with time, stuff like that. They sat down and calculated that all out. But they only did it one thing at a time. So like piano, they estimated it would take him like 6 months or something like that. I forget exactly what they said, to learn piano fluently. Now, some of the numbers were a little wonky with being maybe too short. I can still respect the time that they put in for it. So in total, with that, they got 12 years, 6 months, and 11 days. Now, this is something that parallels with what Mr. Ramis had originally said after the movie was released, but when he was asked how long he thought Phil was in the movie, he said probably somewhere between 12 to 15 years originally. But in a later interview, when he was asked the same question, he ended up saying probably closer to 20 to 25 years, to which Mosh had agreed with him. Because with close to 13 years, that was calculating that he was doing something every day, not including any downtime or days that he didn't do anything. And at some point, when you're just stuck in the time loop, you're not going to do the same thing every day. You're going to take breaks. So I think that the 20 to 25 years, I think personally that's probably the best number. It just fits so perfectly with what he learns and does throughout the movie. Now, if you guys have a different opinion, please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you got. And of course, we'll never know because really, there's no way to say how long, and also it's a fictional movie, so. Now with my script, I was going to start wrapping up and kind of starting to give my final thoughts about the movie, but then I decided, maybe I should look at the reviews to see how other people think about it and their thoughts about it. I gotta say, I'm so glad that I did. So Groundhog Day actually has a relatively high score when it comes to different ratings. So it's got an 8 out of 10 on IMDb, and it's got a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes, which I gotta say is pretty nice. Then on Google here, it's got a 4.6 out of 5 stars, so 481 ratings. So let's go take a look at some of these audience reviews. So Groundhog Day, pretty lengthy review. I'll let you guys read through this. Actually, most of the reviews on this movie are 5 stars, basically saying what I've said this entire video. The journey, not really the destination that we're watching the movie for. Now, there's no written reviews for 3 stars, 2 stars, the same thing. So 1 star by Frankie LaMayo here. 2 months ago. Started off okay, but then suddenly got a bit repetitive starting from the second day. Not much else changed from that point on, and the plot was so repetitive at sometimes, it was like I was watching the same thing over and over again. Clearly, the writers ran out of ideas at this point. The film also depicts gross violence, with the main characters being killed in several gruesome ways. Normally, I'm alright with a bit of death, but unfortunately, this particular film has major continuity errors, with characters dying and seemingly to suddenly reappear again in the following scene. Not to mention the child cruelty depicted when a girl gets thrown out of her piano lesson by Phil. Oh man. There's also reoccurring sound mixing errors. For example, the same morning radio sound is heard again and again throughout the film. Either the editor selected the wrong sound file, or the script writers just ran out of things to say each morning. The groundhog itself is repulsive, and I had to shield my eyes from the screen every time it was within frame. Fortunately, the female is pretty, however. However, this could be too arousing for young viewers. Okay, we know that was just a joke. That was a joke. They knew what they were writing about. They liked the movie. It's essentially a 5 star. Just joking around, like the internet does. So, we're just gonna come over here and say that was helpful. Now that we know how the internet feels about Groundhog Day, I want to talk about how I feel about it. Now, like I said before, I love watching this movie every single year. I love how it kind of puts you into the movie and kind of ask yourself, what would I do in that situation? And kind of feel what Phil feels. Go ahead and say that 10 times fast. Honestly, I don't know how I would originally react. I'll probably be confused at first, trying to figure out how this is real and how it's possible. But I think I'd probably soon get over it and realize I'm kind of stuck. Now, the problem is you don't quite know when you're going to get out of the loop or what you're going to do to get out of it. So I'd probably give it maybe 2 weeks to verify that I'm in it. But now I wouldn't try and immediately get out of it. I mean, we're talking about infinite amount of time here. You're immortal. You could do stuff that you wouldn't normally be able to do, like going and committing some war crimes. Not that I've already committed a few on my own. Just saying, you know, Geneva Convention, more like the Geneva Suggestions. Am I right? I'd probably just sit and learn stuff. Probably after a few months, I'd probably start going insane over it. I think I'd be able to calm myself by just doing activities and kind of learning. Can't really do anything like physical exercise because you're not continuing on to the next day to continue it. So I don't know, I'd probably try a lot of stuff that I wouldn't do normally or wouldn't be able to do. And then eventually, when I probably feel tired enough, if I'm still in the loop, probably start trying to figure out how to get out of it and start living that perfect day. But please tell me what you would do in the comments below. I would love to hear what ridiculous stories you'd come up with. Oh gosh, why am I asking the internet this question? I love how Groundhog Day is based around Groundhog Day because we know that someone easily could have done it and made this like a cheesy Hallmark movie, but I'm glad they didn't make it like Christmas or something like that, because we don't need another Christmas time movie or anything like that. We already got enough of those. But I think that, that fine touch of it, it's in a small town, so it's not quite a big city, so it kind of sets up the film really nicely. Now, this is not the first movie that's talking about time loops, and nor is it going to be the last. We love talking about time and going back to the future, but it's probably the most famous one out there. But actually, on a quick side note, I actually saw a movie not too long ago about time loops, and it's called Boss Battle. It's like a time loop, but with like an assassin guy. It's really good and really funny, so definitely go and check it out. So I think that pretty much wraps up the video. Groundhog Day is a great movie for all ages. Maybe not for quite the younger ones, but for most ages, I'd say it's a really good movie to watch on Groundhog's Day. Unless you're gonna really watch it, it's kind of designed around that holiday. Cue the credits because you just made yourself a good movie. Don't make a sequel. Shocking. They knew how to not make a sequel for every freaking movie back then. Maybe those generations did know something. I want to thank you guys for sticking around watching the video and clicking on it in the first place. And if you could, please go like and subscribe. It helps out the channel a ton. We've been growing at a kind of steady pace, so if we could keep it up, that would be kind of cool. And I'll see you guys next time. Cut! Excellent job, guys. Excellent job. That was a long video, guys.
That's a wrap.
Hey, can you give me a coffee ready?
Yeah, no problem, man.
Thanks, man. All right, I'll see you around, Tom. See you next week, same time?
Yes, sir.
Same time?
See you
All right,
then.
all right. See you, Phil.
Hey, you take care, Devin.
Can't wait to get home and take a shower.
Then put your little hand in mine. There ain't no hill or mountain we can't climb. Babe, I got you, babe. I got you, babe.
Okay, campers, rise and shine, and don't forget your booties, because it's cold out there today.
It's cold out there every day. What is this, Miami Beach? I don't
Not
think so.
hardly. And you know, you can expect hazardous travel
Oh, no.
later today with that.
Son of a...